Guardian, we've picked up a high-gain transmission. Origin point is somewhere along the coast, near the Cosmodrome.
What is up, Guardians? This is Cosmodrome Radio, broadcasting live from all the way in the Cosmodrome spaceport in Russia, because that's where the whole thing is. The ghost tells you is the Russian spaceport, all the way out to Neomuna and places beyond, because there's some crazy stuff going on in Destiny 2. And but this is the show all about Destiny 2 and the world around it, the great game that Bungie has put together for us. That you can check out this show almost every Friday. That what we try to get cooked up. We're a little bit late this week. We had some stuff going on, but we are back at it like a crack addict, as Run the Jewels once said. And we are going to dive straight into it. Don't forget that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music and Audible, iHeartRadio, wherever you enjoy content. Please make sure you check out this show. If for some reason you cannot find this show, make sure that you check out cosmodromeradio.com, where you are able to then check us out and be able to find the show at your favorite location. It seems like the brunt of our listener base is enjoying us on Spotify, so shout out to our Spotify listeners. We appreciate you for checking us out. But we're gonna go ahead and dive into this episode. You can also follow us on Twitter at Cosmodrome Radio. We tweet out the TWID every week. It's not the TWAP anymore, it's the TWID. We know a lot of the community does not look at the This Week in Destiny article. So please, if you are part of the Destiny 2 community, please make sure that you are checking out that article, because it is vital to knowing what is coming up, especially this week, because not only did Bungie not tell anybody that Solstice is next week, but there's news about PvP changes that we're going to be talking about. There's different changes about the new scout rifle. So please make sure that you are checking out the This Week in Destiny article every week. If you need to check us out to find it, we will always retweet that every week. So make sure that you're paying attention to that. My name is Panda the Paladin. To my left, we have the woman who finally got her freaking Aquanaut title right before the podcast this evening. Our favorite MV kicking butt. Tower Mom, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I wasn't sure if you were going to see that. I wasn't sure if it was going to pop up.
It popped up via Charlemagne, so I was like, let me give the shout out to Mama real quick.
Shout out.
My screenshots and the notifications like IMB for Charlie because she takes forever.
That's funny. And then to my right, we have the president of the Zebu Arath fan club, the man who came in triumphantly to help us finish a Divinity run right before the podcast. We have Dava. How you doing?
I'm doing damn good today. Look, we got some div runs through going. Look, that was some hectic shit.
It was very hectic, yes.
But we got it. Look, and everybody's having a good time now.
Most definitely.
That's all that matters to me.
All right, well, let's go ahead and dive into this. Obviously, y'all, we ain't been here in a minute. We've been handling some stuff, and honestly, for a hot minute, the community really just kind of had us like not really wanting to speak on stuff. There was so much negativity, and we truly didn't want to add to it. We tried. We recorded it, we recorded a little bit, but frankly, it just felt like we were just adding to the negativity in a bad way. So like, we'll gloss over a little bit of it, like not like we know that folks have been really frustrated about the lack of PvP support. We know Glad kind of came at everyone's throats about the people asking for PvP support. That was a big controversy where a big well-known streamer Glad, who is a day one raider, came out and said, "Hey, PvP players, why are you still here? Why don't you understand that this game is not a PvP game? It's a PvE game with a PvP attached to it." And it was a very interesting situation where like he's trying to explain to people that like this is a whole different dynamic than what you think it is. And I very much enjoyed the take, but at the same time, there was a point where Bungie really did care about PvP, but you can't totally say that anymore. And I think part of it came from the community pushing so hard for hardcore players to enjoy PvP and not really caring about casual players enjoying PvP. And that definitely created a lot of strife in the community to like a severe degree, but you got to sleep in the bed you created, and we're at a point now where the game has been affected by it. I was like Dave and I have been going at it for the past couple of days talking about that, where it truly feels like the community has sort of ate itself alive in regards to
It really has. Believe it or
I'm
not, I
not
think
glad because, like, I don't really appreciate the way that he plays Destiny. He only comes in for, day one raids and then just, like, fucks off and does his own thing, which fine. He does his own thing. That's great. But, at hearing that take, like, broken clocks right twice daily.
I mean, but like, to be fair, Glad kind of has a point in a big way, especially because of the fact that he kind of reached a point himself where he checked out mentally in terms of there wasn't a whole lot of challenge for him. He was burning himself out playing the game. There was even a point in his video where he talked about how there's no grind worth it in the game except for day one rating for him because the challenge just isn't there. And for those people, that's more power to you. I had fun getting people through a div run a day. We got a new light player through a corrupted GM last night where none of his armor was masterworked, and we had a fun time doing it. Like, there's still fun to be had in this game, but some people don't have fun anymore. That's on them. And like, that was part of what Vlad was talking about in his video, where he wants the PvP players to go find their happiness in another avenue. So I kind of have to respect the way he put it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, Glad may not be my favorite person, but like he does his thing, and then he comes into Destiny, does his thing, and then goes off and does other stuff, and he doesn't do it in a way that's like disrespectful, in a way that a lot of the community has been recently, that like I've been seeing on Twitter. Like just today, Bungie store, because they're doing the Bungie Rewards week after Bungie Day last week. Today they posted up a tweet of the Drifter's voice actor reading the malfeasance speech, which one of my favorite speeches that you get from an NPC after finishing their quest for their specific exotic. I love that speech. And
you said the store posted that?
Bungie store, yeah. Bungie store. Well, like it was on the Bungie store Twitter page. Posted that up because they're the ones who are running the rewards week for
for me, they haven't posted anything on Twitter in 4 days. That was, they posted a new thing about the collector's edition being $50.
Oh no, I'm sorry, it wasn't the Bungie store. They have so many pages, so I'll have to. I'll have to look.
Foundation.
Yes, Bungie Foundation. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no, I found it because he's right there talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's cameo format. His face. He's going through that speech again. It's one of my favorite speeches from an MP.
I like that the bundle they included for the 7 days of prizes is like the Drifter rubber duck and the Drifter statue. It's so freaking cute.
Yes, but my point mentioning that is like if you go through the comments, there's like 5, 6, 7 people replying, all talking about how
Bungie doesn't deserve another penny of my money. They keep serving us all hot garbage in terms of player support and less Destiny-like content. Ripoff.
Yep. And it sucks because you've got people like that who bitch and moan and complain, especially on pages that have nothing to do with the actual game itself. The Bungie Foundation is a charitable foundation. It's not the development page. You've got that side of the community who still plays the game, but like whine and moan in non-context. And then, you've got Glad who comes in, does his thing, and then fucks off and does his stuff, in other places. And he respects Bungie and the devs. And, when he's not playing Destiny, he's not playing Destiny. and it's all good. He does his thing. I respect that. Like I said, he's not a person, because when I first came into the community, he was very much a hardcore Destiny player, and he had that dude bro attitude about it that I do not like. But he's grown up a little bit and, just respectfully does his thing when there's nothing to challenge him in the game. And I respect that.
Yeah. So that's definitely the way it feels, where it's like some people just don't. And like there was one thing that he even said where it feels like for people, a lot of PvE players, they're making their own fun with like in the same way people are doing like low man activities and like flawless run raids and dungeons. They're doing it because they feel like they're not being challenged. But for me, it kind of feels like Bungie's doing their best in the time they have. Like, just look at the freaking the new Scout Rifle mission, which we'll dig into a little bit in a minute. Like, a lot of people figured out on accident that if you accidentally activate Toland, the freaking activity is balls to the wall harder. Like that, like no one knew that, and like especially because the modifiers for that week were chill touch. You had every taken in the arena freezing you nonstop, and a lot of people didn't know that. So it was very much a situation where a lot of people were just constantly getting frozen, and they didn't know what the hell to do. So it feels like, and I just saw people. There was a couple different people who were like, "Oh, this is too easy." And like Salto Greppo even like solo flawless the same day, and I'm like, bro, not everyone can do that. There was people actually actively asking Bungie to lower the difficulty of it on the first day. And to be fair, I will say, if it weren't for the modifier and the timer being as short as it was, I would like. I feel like they could have picked one or the other, but
not both.
But not both. Like if you wanted to do both, you could have made like a legend version for the catalyst or some shit. Especially because that arena is so vast, that arena is so huge. You could have had two bosses in there with a bigger timer or some shit, and I'd have been like, "Cool, bet, do it." But like that, like I don't know what they're gonna do with that arena now, because that arena feels like it has so much more to offer the player base. So we'll see what happens with that. But then there was the topic of like Bungie's monetization practices. There was a lot of controversy in regards to that, because Aztecross did a giant deep dive into that. And truth be told, Bungie is a company. They're gonna do what they do, but it does feel like in a lot of ways they're trying to nickel and dime a lot of people when it comes to the expansion prices, the monetization to get into the game, where it costs like $400 to buy everything out the gate. Like, those different things are definitely worth tackling.
With is that like a good 80% of that is money that you choose to give. Everworth,
not necessarily.
Like a lot of it is like the expansions and whatnot. So it definitely, like, just the expansions, isn't it like literally $400 to get like the anniversary, the Forsaken Pack, Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, Witch Queen, Lightfall?
Yeah, but you don't have to do all of that. You don't have to pay all of that. If you just want to play the current expansion, then you just play the current expansion. And there's always freaking sales. Xbox always.
That's very
I don't think that's exactly fair to say, though. Like,
exactly, especially when the community is very much like, "Hey, do you want to run you want to run a Deep Stone? Well, I don't have Beyond Light," and they feel pressured to go spend more money. It's very much
when somebody's about to go do the GM and they're like, "Oh, I don't have Forsaken, so I can't run the Corrupted." I feel like if Bungie wants to fix this problem, it's an easy fix. If you buy the current expansion, you get all previous expansions roped into the current expansion.
Doesn't Final Fantasy 14 do that?
Yes, they do, and that is what
Warframe does too.
Yeah, and that's what really makes the price tag of $100 a year make kind of sense, because, like, okay, if you're just not coming in $100 and you get all previous expansions, the current expansion, and content going forward for the
but then you also have people complaining who already have all that content complaining about why do they have to pay $100 a year if they already
but
have.
at that point, it's the same. It's the same situation as like the people who complained about the year one content being free for the new lights. Like there has to be some sort of compromise because look at something like World of Warcraft. Like World of Warcraft does something similar where they like once you get to a certain point with the expansions, they give you a good chunk of it for free. There needs to be a barrier of entry that isn't hundreds upon hundreds, maybe like 150
I
at like
agree with-
max. But like there needs to be an understanding with the community that there needs to be some level of entry, especially with how difficult just the starting point is, especially now with like because before with Beyond Light, it was just do Shahan shit and then get thrown into the deep end. Now it's do Shahan shit and then be gate kept by the Guardian rank system. And it's very much like that whole system in general is very constricting because now it's to the point where they're like, hey, you can't have certain supers at a certain point and whatnot. So it's very much a restricting system, but there's no like new player track. It's very much like, hey, you get streamlined into who the Fallen and the Hive are, and then you get thrown into the deep end. And even this past week, we took somebody through the disgrace GM while we were trying to get our Conqueror, and they were like, this is a GM? I just did this on my new light quest. We were like, what? Like the hell? Like it boggles the mind how they just sort of tried to fast track people, and it doesn't work the way they think it does.
Yeah.
I truly think they need to revisit the new light experience before the end of the saga.
You know what? Let me cook for a second. Let me cook.
Go for it.
I'm about to look. As much as that is a problem, I think another big problem that Bungie has is onboarding the new players in the sense of like one hand we have like barrier to entry with content as far as like what content they will have access to. But another issue is like the barrier to entry to just be a part of the community of Destiny. Like so many new lights coming in and having zero understanding of what the fuck to do. But then the vast majority of Guardians out there don't even care to help them. Like so many Guardians I've come past where like, I don't know where to go, what to do. What the hell is the Cosmodrome? What's the EDZ? And all these different questions. I'm like, oh, that's this patrol zone. That's that patrol zone. You know, just helping them out. But that barrier to entry is what pushes so many players away. On top of the compound problem of a lot of older veteran players feeling neglected. And it really, really pushes hard on the fact that a lot of players are actively, what's the word I want to say here? Like jaded. Like when you talk about Crucible being made more casual friendly, the hardcore players are like, oh, fuck no. Hell no. It's already too casual friendly. But the casual players, the new light players, are coming in and they're like, I don't know what's going on, what to do, how to do it, why to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And to help them with actively just infuriate the other side even more. So there's a really razor thin line that Bungie has to walk to fix a lot of these issues.
You're definitely not wrong in regards to that. Like, it's a very multifaceted issue. And we've talked about it before, where like Bungie doesn't make PvP even approachable to where people can understand it. Because look at like how we talked about before with the difference between Trials, Iron Banner, and regular Crucible, where people don't know where the casuals are supposed to go. Like I've said multiple times, a plethora of times, if Bungie would have made more explanations, Shax to have dialogue explaining, hey, this is where you go, Guardian, for your like 3v3 experience to get ready for Trials of Osiris. And like that would have been such a great way to get new players into that environment. But they didn't think about that. They don't understand that new players need that explanation to understand what the hell is going on.
Yeah, that's very true.
100% agree. 100%. And that's a big problem in the game, is the community being so at war with itself that Bungie can't implement the things that the community needs to heal. And I think that we need to work on that as a community.
Almost death, especially with us, like, and people are all worried about what's going to happen after Final Shape and whatnot. People were like, because there was a report that came out of the narrative directors having a roundtable with games journalists, and they're hinting at the Vex being the big bad after the Final Shape. And frankly, I would love that, because I'm tired of the Vex being used as a side convenience villain. Like, to this day,
Really
I feel
bad.
to this
ready for
day,
my
I
boys
feel
to
like Coria was robbed of a great experience from us. Like, she could have been a dungeon boss. I
Should have been a
like
raid boss.
should have been a raid boss, a
100%.
dungeon boss, something like that. Like, the fact that
Yeah.
I was able to the two pump thunder crash her and it was over annoyed me. Like, there were so many cool ideas you could do. Like, the idea, like where's Panoptes? Like, when are we gonna see Panoptes again? Like, I want that man to come back and cause some havoc. Like, there's so many things they could do with the Vex to call, like we haven't even seen, like they could literally just be like, hey yo, here's 5 Eater of Worlds at one time, and I'd be like, bet, bring it, like, just do it.
Bring back the Infinite Forest and make it
Yes,
fully procedurally generated.
and make it be the Halloween event again, because these haunted law sectors are getting fucking annoying. I'm sorry, man. Like, I don't like the gimmick of the haunted law sectors. It's not fun. It's not like the nights with the pumpkin heads were cute the first season. And, like, granted, they did introduce new dialogue with some of the different actors and whatnot. That way it wasn't just Finch talking as well the whole time. But it's still just like, man, I could use some new activity. Like, they could straight up just be like, hey, like this year, they could be like, hey, yo, the throne world's haunted with Savathun. And I'd be like, bet, awesome concept, do it. Or like,
You know what?
we go into a pyramid and we fight old bosses. We even get like Tanics. We get like people from D1 that aren't just like that aren't already in fucking Dares of Eternity. They multifacet that shit. I would love it. I'd be so down for it.
You know what? I just thought about it. I thank you for giving me this fucking like spark of like creativity, energy.
What's
right
up? What's
now,
up?
right?
What's up?
Mild spoilers for the season for those who don't know. This is your chance to skip forward a little while.
Definitely.
Look, Mara Saab is gonna have some fucking words to Savathun when she comes back. She needs to have a discussion, maybe. Possibly.
Ooh,
Like,
okay.
you
Okay.
fucked up my house. I'm gonna need you to fix it.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
Like-
one thing that still bugged me, is the fact that once we killed Coria, the Dreaming City stayed taken infested. And no one said shit about it. Coria was the one that was controlling the curse. And we have yet to address that. And it's fucking annoying.
I'll be like, really? I just thought about it. I'm like, hold on, she's coming back. Mara Saab is here. I know Mara about to be like, bitch,
I mean, hey, if you
it's about to get
Dave,
crazy.
are you president of the Mars Sub Sim Club too? Is
wait,
that
hold
what
Look,
this
up.
I have a thing for high women. Calm down. Let's talk about this. I have a thing for high women. Zebu at the top, and then little sisters Savathun. You know,
I
there's
mean,
a higher.
hey, truth be told, Mara, like if you go back to, what was it, 2 seasons ago, Mara did have like a psychic battle in the lore with Zebu. So like apparently your girls are throwing hands. You better deal with that.
Look, all I'm saying is, look, goddess of war, conniving lady that like fucked over her brother. This
Hey, Goddess
decision
of
ain't
War,
very hard.
Awoken Queen. Like, you gotta like do it right there.
A woken queen who couldn't beat God of War's sister. I feel like I know where my bread is buttered. I'm just saying, I'm keen to keep it buttered. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my god.
Lord in heaven. What are we gonna do with you, David? All right. Moving on to the next topic real quick. So from there, in terms of the divisiveness that's been going on in the community, there was the issue of cheating when it comes to PvP. Because not only people have been frustrated by the lack of PvP support, but there has been the issue of cheating on a grand scale in PvP. And it's to the point where even Grenadier Jake has said, like, one of the most well-known Trials of Osiris carriers there is. Like, I think, what was it? True Vanguard made a joke recently that, like, if the sun rises in the east, True every Friday has got carries going on. And that's true. Like, Grenadier Jake has had that staple going on for a long time, that he will be the one to step up and carry people to the lighthouse. But he's got to a point where he's starting to like diversify his content and not just play trials every weekend, because he's tired of people bot flying across the map with infinite ammo and stuff like that. He's tired of dealing with the cheaters and whatnot, and I have to respect it. Heck, there was an incident this week in Iron Banner where there was somebody with infinite fists of havoc running around and just destroying everybody in one of my lobbies. And it was
There's
like, wow.
one specific person who's been called out now by myself, Pandel, Sticky, and multiple other people. This Lord Monstrevi, who goes around and literally he advertises the fact that he cheats. He advertises the fact that he has every single cheat code there is for Destiny right now. And I know Pandel has been fucking harassed by him incessantly. Sticky put him up on blast on a TikTok, which tweeted out and freaking tagged the Destiny 2 social media team and Bungie Help, saying, look, this dude needs to get banned. Like, he needs a full ass IP ban, because not only does he have all of these cheats, not only does he sell his cheats,
he's actively bragging about the fact that he's like doing this to the community.
He's harassing LGBTQ and members of the community and people of color in the community. Like, either they're keeping shut about it because they're, freaking working on another suit, or they're just fucking ignoring it, and it's really pissing people.
I don't think it's that. I genuinely feel like they're trying to walk a thin line, because
if they're trying to get evidence for a suit,
I'm not even saying the suit. I'm saying that I think genuinely they're trying to walk a thin line, because if they come out and say, hey, we don't have the ability to put a full IP ban, let alone ban his account entirely, then they would look really they would look really weak in terms of the community. But if they say, hey, we're trying this method, this method, this method, and this method to ban him, and it's not working yet, then they even look stupider, because they're not able to show like that they're revealing their hand of what they're attempting. And granted, could they at least say, hey, we're looking into the cheating problem? Yes, they definitely could do that. But at the same time, it's a multifaceted issue, because I feel like if they reveal their hand, they're gonna mess up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, one of the things, if there's an active investigation and they're trying to gain evidence and get all that stuff ready for some sort of litigation, they got to keep their mouth shut. Like, literally. I mean, like I said, just like with all the stuff that happened with DMG that I'm sure we're going to talk about later, they could not say anything. Just like when it happened with the leaks, they could not say anything, and the only reason they really did say anything is because he called himself out, himself on blast, saying,
that was an interesting situation.
Trying to gaslight the community. So yeah, you're right. They do have to walk a very fine line. And if there's some sort of litigation that's going to be happening anytime soon, they are legally required to shut the fuck up.
It's a very interesting line they have to walk. Like, granted, I think, and in like this even goes into the DMG discussion that we'll get into. like when it comes to the community response, they've been sort of quiet. And now that we've been able to understand, because for the longest time we just thought DMG bailed. He was tired, he was done, he wanted to dip. But when we started to learn what was going on, it
Thinking
started to,
about it beforehand.
well, yeah, but like in terms of everything, like not everyone knew what had happened, and a lot of people have been like saying, "Bungie, why are you been quiet? Why have you been doing this? Yada yada. Like, why have you been unresponsive? We've been asking for help. There's the cheating problem. There's the server issues. There's the lack of PvP support. Yada yada." And it kind of reached to a head where when they finally said, "Hey, this is what's going on with the server issues," there was a Sony executive or like a developer who came out and was trying to like white knight for Bungie out of pocket, and people called him on his nonsense and was like, because he came out and said, now I can't, I want all the content creators to like apologize in videos for attacking Bungie because now Bungie's giving you the answers you looked for. When people started to put them on blast, they're like, hey, yo, no, like this is great that they finally gave us answers, but it's kind of a little late. Like we should have been known about this a while ago, because there's been multiple times where they said, hey, we're going to have dedicated downtime right before a patch. Then that downtime turns into hours and hours and no knowledge. It's the same copy and paste responses and no knowledge of what's going on with our game. The running joke in regards to this game for a long time has been this game's being held together by like the tinfoil and prayers. And people had like are clowning on Bungie, but in reality, they don't want to see all the work, time, money, effort they put into this game be wasted. They don't want it to see it fall apart. They don't want it to go to waste. But when Bungie's out here not like giving people answers, it's frustrating for a lot of the player base. So I understand where they're coming from.
That's kind of the problem, though. Is like, okay, so let me cook for a second here, right?
Go for it.
Give me like 2 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the bigger issues that I see, and I've talked about it before on the show, is that Bungie has been so transparent with the player base that now players feel entitled to Bungie's transparency.
Yes.
That's valid.
To a point where they feel like the fact that Bungie is just shutting up and working is a problem, right?
Yeah.
They feel entitled to the fact that Bungie has always been forthcoming and very vocal about the changes that are coming. But what has been happening over the past year or so is Bungie will come out and say something, and then one half will be like, you're too late. How dare you, Bungie? You should have been faster. And then the other half is pitchforks and torches, ready to burn this bitch down. To a point that leads to what happened to DMG and the reason why we can no longer at the community managers. Now we have the Destiny 2 team. Bungie is having to make barriers between them and the community to protect their employees.
Right. That's what I was going to dig into that, because it's very much a double-edged sword where we have to it's the consequences of our own actions. Where the turns of table, where Bungie was getting accolades at like the Game Awards and stuff like that for being great community managers and stuff like that. But now they're having to be less of what they were getting awarded for because of what they've gone through. And that really sucks.
Yeah. I hate it, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the one thing that you should never have to worry about when you go to work is the safety of your family. Like, nobody should ever have to worry about the safety of their family when they go to work, let alone the safety of their family because of the state of a video game. It is asinine, the fact that people have to worry about that.
Yeah.
It's strange. It's funny, not funny, haha, but funny, what the fuck, that people actively seek to take out their frustration in the game on the people that develop the game. I don't like it personally. I think,
and it sucks that people are taking out their frustrations on the game on people who aren't actually the ones that control what is going on in the game.
exactly.
Well,
Like,
DMG, Dylan is a sweetheart, and he was basically the face of the company for
For a
10
long time.
years.
Like
That man,
he went above and beyond for a lot of people. And
he
like
really did.
even when there was
Yeah.
that cheater, there was that one dude who got banned a while back, like right before DMG left, and like dude was throwing up a storm. He had people vouching for him and yada yada. And then when DMG walked out with the receipts and was like, "Hey yo, this is what you did. You were cheating. You were acting a fool," and that man shut up real quick. You didn't hear
Yep.
nothing else. You didn't hear not a dang thing from that dude ever again in regards to his activities because he knew he got caught red-handed.
Yep.
And it was
But
funny.
people like Dylan and Leanna and Sam and Cosmo, they're not the ones who are actually controlling what happens in, the PvP team or the QA team or the seasonal team. They are there, like you and I are, Panda, as the face of a product. We work to make sure that in our case, the podcast is, out there, is, freaking, connecting with the community and, letting people know this is what's going on and, all that kind of stuff.
Hey,
But like,
you just wait because like there's gonna come a moment when once we get the Zivu t-shirts out, you're gonna see Dave on Twitter repping, and you know what's gonna happen.
oh yeah, I know.
Oh
We
my
are.
dear.
I know we are.
Oh my God.
That we're small. We're not only the face of the podcast, we also are the podcast. You're doing everything with regards to setting this all up and, just kind of opening up as, kind of a behind the scenes here. We do everything.
Yeah.
You do everything. If people have a complaint about the podcast, then it is us that they're talking to. But like, if we had a sound design team, if we had a studio with people producing and making sure the audio mixes were good, that intro music was on point, outros were on point, that would be.
You saying my intros aren't on point, Tower? Is that what you're saying? Are you calling my intro weak?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
Say it
completely
ain't
separate
so.
team doing that. If we had a completely separate team doing that, and all the three of us and Alchemy had to do was just sit there and talk,
It'd be a whole different dynamic, yeah.
handling the audio and the sound. If there was an issue with the audio and the sound, that's on the audio team, not on us.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That's
See,
the thing with Bungie, is that Dylan and Sam and Leanna and Cosmo, they're the ones who literally are just sitting down at the table to talk with the community, but they're not the ones who are sitting in the office and coding or, writing up the narrative or, making the art or programming the AI and stuff like that. And people, because of the fact that they're the faces, people take that stuff to them and blame them.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that.
It's true. It sucks.
Bad.
Honestly, I don't even think it's that. I just think some people like to stir up shit.
And like that's like, and we're gonna talk about it because the dude who targeted DMG was just trying to stir up shit. Like he was found out to be doing that. And but like in terms of it, there are genuinely people who are mad that things are going sideways and they want to do dumb stuff. Look what happened with Twilight Garrison. Twilight Garrison was a nightmare where like all these people who were so like I will wholeheartedly admit I have been a Titan since D1 vanilla beta. I was not even remotely upset about Twilight Garrison. I was more upset that no backup plans wasn't like what hadn't been really talked about in terms of a possible buff. And then like a month, and then like a season later, I got my buff. But like in terms of everything else, like Twilight Garrison wasn't a concern because I don't need all that movement tech. I was fine with my shoulder charge and my thruster, and then they nerfed my shoulder charge. Like I was fine. I didn't need anything else. And then, but all these people
still think hunters need to get the Twilight Garrison. That's just my opinion.
I mean, you got Blink back. You'll be all right.
But I can't use that on Strand.
That's fair. But like in terms of everything, it just it goes to show you that people are like take everything that Bungie does for granted. Granted, I'm not gonna say that everything Bungie does is perfect. No, we were just saying about how like that there's issues in the game and whatnot. Like the spaghetti code, as people call it, is on its last leg some days. But like even today during our div run, someone got weaseled for no reason, despite him having Google Fiber internet, the best internet you can get right now. And yet he still got weaseled because of the game code. So it's like in terms of the systems and whatnot, there's still things that need to be worked on, but there's a correct way to go about it, and people don't know how to do that. And it's annoying. And they've created this problem where even Bungie doesn't even want to talk to us half the time anymore, unless it's through professional means like a games journalist roundtable, because they're tired of the disrespect. They're tired of the nonsense. It's the community's fault. So and we've even said before that like if Bungie ever would want to grace us with the potential of speaking with us, we would be honored. We would love, because we see us as the ability to speak on behalf of both the hardcore and the casual, and be able to say, hey, let's meet in the middle and have a conversation. So like we would love to have you guys on the show at some point. Please come through. We would love that. But we're gonna go ahead and move on, because we keep hinting at this DMG stuff. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Because stuff got real wild, because out of nowhere, I believe it was yesterday, like one of the lawyers from the team that went after the person came out on Twitter and posted a whole thread about it, talking about the entire thing, and the whole thing came out. I'm sorry?
She posted the whole thing. So she posted a thread with highlights, but she also linked the entire like settlement. Like
I'm pulling it back up right now because for some reason my Google Chrome closed it.
Yeah, she tweeted a link to what like the ending of the thing, and she had actually done this at the beginning when they filed the initial suit. She filed the entire she posted a link to the entire Google Doc, legal documents, for their pretrial stuff, or what she could release legally. But now that the suit is done, she posted the whole thing, and she got real quick with that dude. Like real.
Yeah, it very much got a lot of attention that people didn't plan on getting it coming up, and it was pretty in depth, because she starts off with the entire thing where Jesse James Comer, the person who was found out to be doing this, was like constantly harassing DMG, like going off on racist tangents and whatnot, because I forget what was the initial thing. But it was something in regards to something like can there be a way to separate black people in the game from white people in the game? And he was telling DMG this needed to happen, and he was trying to be hella racist about it and whatnot. And it got to a really sociopathic point where dude was he had tracked down DMG's address. He was sending him pizzas via the delivery services and putting in the special instructions for them to bang on DMG's door very loudly to scare everybody, and just as a threat to know that he knew DMG's address and whatnot. And it got to a point where Bungie went after this motherfucker at full speed. They did not care, and it set new precedent of you were one step. If you would have went any farther in terms of violence or anything like that, it'd have been worse. but like you straight up engage in the craziest harassment campaign versus a video game dev, a video game like community manager ever done. And they went full on with this man's. Like the amount of money this man's is gonna owe for the rest of his life is insanity. And like,
wait,
I want to find it because I gotta find the freaking
almost half a billion. Just shy of half a bill.
Okay. So the judgment principal balance was $380,189.22 plus $25,000 in statutory damages, plus $83,806 in total attorney fees, plus $200 in statutory attorney fees pursuant to the RCW. So this man's is gonna be flat broke for a long time because he want to do this. And what's crazy is they even shared a Discord message where he was bragging about doing this to DMG, and it's like, bro, where do you get off? Like, what makes you think this is okay to do? First of all, you being racist and out of pocket was just otherworldly. But for you to do this, it's astonishing. Where you thought you were gonna get away with this, I don't even understand the thought process.
Yeah, and it set new precedent for Washington law as well with regards to employee protection. So because Bungie was the first case in something like this, the state of Washington can now, or Bungie can now file with their state senate and state government a motion to put this into law that companies should and can protect their employees on a legal level, which is amazing because that means that if they win that in Washington and get that pushed through their Supreme Court as well as into law in the state, then that means that any company in any other state that values its employees in the way that Bungie does would be able to push that through to federal law and to the federal Supreme Court. So that way all employees have federal protection with regards to harassment, death threats, things like that, which is an amazing precedent. It boggles my mind that it has taken this long for an employer or for a law like that to be able to come onto the books.
I mean, when you think about it, like to this day, like digital balancing for laws is still prehistoric. I remember what was it? Not even like a year ago, the TikTok controversy where like the government was trying to ban TikTok, and you saw these old decrepit politicians trying to interview the president or like the owner of TikTok, and then there was the one dude who was like, "Can TikTok access my home Wi-Fi?" And the dude was like, I don't understand what you mean. Like, if you enable the Wi-Fi to access the videos with the Wi-Fi, yes, the app is going to access the Wi-Fi. Like the way they tried to make and portray that situation, it shows a lack of ineptitude for technology, and it shows how far we still have to go in terms of technology.
But cyberbullying has been a federal statute for, I think, at least for a couple of decades. But it's not been a federal statute or a federal law with regards to employers. That law with regards to cyberbullying has been a private person to person type of a thing where you can, contact the FBI and report cyberbullying, but it's a civil suit matter. That's the thing. It's like a person to person type of a matter. It's not like a big corporation or employer who has been able to, file cyberbullying petitions.
I think it's just because a lot of businesses don't care about their employees.
Yeah.
But that's a different conversation for another day.
It's very, very low work for Bungie when this was happening, because Bungie values its employees more than any other corporation, more than any other business I have ever seen. Ever.
I mean, I kind of have to give it to her on that one. Yeah, like I feel like in terms of, and that was one thing I remember. There was like a week or two ago, I was arguing with some dude on Twitter who was mad about Bungie promoting, or even there was like the people who developed Charlemagne. That's something we can talk about there too, where like the people who developed Charlemagne were facing a lot of backlash. Even Bungie was facing a lot of backlash for their support of like queer characters and queer people during Pride Month. And we found out from the creators of Charlemagne, the app that a lot of people use in their Discord servers to integrate with the Destiny API, that over 2,000 different servers removed Charlemagne from their servers because of Charlemagne's creators showing support of the LGBTQ community. And it was appalling. And it showed that, and like as I'm sitting there having this conversation with like one of the people who were mad at them for it, because they're like, well, if you stop talking about politics and just talk about the game, you wouldn't have this problem. And I'm like, bro, that's not even like Bungie, not even just like the Charlemagne creators, but Bungie especially. They're not even like trying to virtue signal or like do like rainbow capitalism. Like to a certain extent they are, but like in terms of the grand scale, they're repping what they're actually about. There are people at their organization who are queer, who are black, who are like who are Asian, who are women, who are like creating these like inside organizations like Black at Bungie and like the different organization they're doing, and trying to make a change and a betterment for the gaming community. And people are like, oh, they're just virtue signaling. No, they're not, you freaking idiot. They're trying to make a more beneficial environment for their peers. And you don't understand that.
80% of Bungie's employer base is some form of minority. And of that 80%, 50% of those people are double minorities, like queer or queer Black folks or queer natives, you know, or queer women or queer men, you know, they're double minorities. Well, queer men, I can't really say, but like queer Black men.
Yeah.
A double minority. Queer Asian men, queer Asian women, you know, 80% of their workforce belongs to at least one minority group at Bungie. They're one of the few game development companies that is incredibly diverse.
I think that's a problem, though, for some
game development companies are white dudes.
Some people merely want to see themselves in things and not other people, right? And that's why you get some people out there that are like, I don't see myself in this, therefore it's political, therefore you're forcing it on me, and I don't like it. But it's just like, just because you don't see yourself doesn't mean that other people don't see themselves.
Well, not only that, I remember like there was some controversy recently where I remember there was like a Nick Jr. thing where there was a show specifically about a black girl, and there was a white family where like a white kid was upset that he didn't see himself on the TV anymore. And it was like, bro, do you know how many shows you've had for over like decades, fam? Like one show, like, do you know how long Dora the Explorer's been on and you weren't mad about Dora the Explorer? Like, come on now. Like, this is getting ridiculous.
Right?
So, like, I just, it feels kind of like convoluted and stupid in a lot of ways, but I don't know. Hopefully we see improvement in the industry as time goes on. I do think this was a very beneficial win for not only DMG, but for Bungie, because it shows that they're not gonna like support their devs and their workers being targeted like this. So like win for Bungie. And like there was even another court case recently, they won against another cheating company because so great. So hopefully Bungie can deal with these other cheaters soon, because the PvP community is kind of getting tired of it, but that's fine.
I think the PvP community needs to take it with a grain of salt.
I don't know, man.
Bungie starting to
I saw a man
develop
with
for it.
Infinite Fists of Havoc this past week at Iron Banner.
That's a cheating problem.
Like he
That's
started
a
the match
cheating
with Fists of
problem.
Havoc nonstop.
But
It
that's
was
a cheating
terrible.
problem. That's not a we need more maps problem. That's not a we need more content problem.
Well, no,
That's a
because
cheating
here
problem.
that's a multifaceted conversation because I will give the PvP community certain leeway because Bungie did say that there was going to be new armor refreshes every year, like every expansion. There was going to be new maps that were going to be created. We've only gotten one new maps in the past year, which was the one from Witch Queen, but that didn't even come out with Witch Queen. It took like 2 seasons. And even then, people figured out that it was a reskin of a D1 map. So the community wasn't happy about that. Bungie also said there was going to be a rotation of like one old map, one new map, etc. And we've like had delays on that to where we just now got a Mars map back. We got the King's Fall map a while back. And it just, and not only that, like there's the different PvP imbalances that people have had problems with. There's the different things of that nature. There was the issue of Immortal reigning supreme for as long as it did, and Bungie not taking usage into consideration, which Mercury's even admitted on the Firing Range podcast that sometimes they do need to look at usage. They're not looking at usage enough, which was a big factor that they said. So there's certain things that I think the PvP community has reason to be upset about. Is there some things in the PvP community they need to shut up about? Yes, because the amount of times that I've heard people just constantly complaining about Titans without actually understanding that this is not a normal FPS is starting to get on my last damn nerve. Because if I hear one more person say that Titan barricades need to be removed or nerfed again, I'm gonna lose it because this is not Call of Duty. Because there was even somebody who made a post saying, "What is your controversial take that like in the Destiny community?" And I even said, too many people in this community act as if this is just an FPS like Call of Duty and don't understand that this is an RPG, a role-playing game where the warlocks are the healers and the mage, the hunters are the rogues, the titans are the juggernaut fighting tanks, like the paladins or the
I'm gonna
barbarians.
say this though. I'm gonna say this, Panda. You're not gonna like it.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
This
geez.
is the shit that hunters have been putting up with for years now.
What you mean?
The feeling of the class not being the problem, it's just the frequency upon which people are annoyed by the class. I don't think Titans are that big a problem. I think people just need to adjust their play style for how they play against Titans. At
Agreed.
Tejas Wards, there is like ways to get around it. People just don't want to.
Oh, speak on
Want
it.
to
Because, and
continue to
here's
play the way they
you
want.
just brought up a great point. Rob, I'll let you continue in a second. There's one point that I want to make sure everybody hears, especially every little Twitter fiend. I want you to understand something. Antaeus wards have had no change to them since they were originally nerfed like 5-6 seasons ago before Beyond Light. They have not been nerfed or buffed at all. Even when they were originally nerfed and all you idiots were saying, oh, Antaeus wards are trash now, they could still deflect supers back then. You just don't like it now because people combined it with SMGs and fusion rifles to combat your SMGs and fusion rifles. Suck it up. Okay, David, you can go ahead.
Level of backhanded, like, fuck you. I just heard on that mic right there.
Bro, no, because like,
I'm all for it.
the thing that I keep seeing on Twitter is people who keep going like Antaeus wards need to be nerfed or removed from the game. They shouldn't be able to deflect my super. And I'm like, bro, this is the same shit that happened with Sight and Ramparts, where there have been no changes to these exotics almost ever since they were originally nerfed. Same thing with Lord of Wolves back during Season of the Haunted. There had been nothing changed about Lord of Wolves since the last time it was nerfed. But because people were combining it with Omnioculus and kept free Sting, people were like, oh, we have to nerf Lord of Wolves too. No, you don't. Because if it weren't for that one weekend of trials where it was Exodus Blue and people started to combine it with Omnioculus, you didn't give a shit about Lord of Wolves. No one gave a shit about it. Like that's the fickleness of this community, where one person finds a cool, like where one person finds one cool build and they hyper focus on it. And when they think it's a problem, they freak out. The same thing with Sight and Ramparts, where everyone's like, oh, we need to nerf Sight and Ramparts and barricades. No, you don't. You just don't like it that you can't just roll up with a hand cannon and do what you normally did with hand cannons and shotguns. You don't like that pulse rifles and scout rifles are in a healthy place in the meta where they're able to function against hand cannons, and you can't just get away with 3-tapping motherfuckers anymore. You have to actually combat pulse rifles, auto rifles, scout rifles, SMGs now. They're not just laying in people's vaults and have no function anymore. We're like, here's my controversial hot take. If once they balance Immortal and they remove the hit scan from fusion rifles, we will be in the healthiest gun meta in the history of Destiny 2. And no one will ever agree with me. Because literally, we are living in a world where pulse rifles are able to function, auto rifles, SMGs, scout rifles are able to function. But the reason why people are saying that these weapons need to be nerfed is because they don't like that people can just shoot down lane. They want to be able to slide and jump and be able to roll up with their hand cannons and go tap, tap, tap and be done. They don't like the meta has shifted where everybody has a fair chance with any gun. And it's stupid.
Okay, this is what Diva's been saying for years. Like I've been saying this since we've been talking about the whole like connection based versus skill based and all these different nerfs and buffs to everything. Mm-hmm. Like, look, people just don't like to change their playstyle. People want to run around like chickens with their head cut off, get a kill, die, rush back to the battlefield and hurry. That's just how it is. In the same way you feel about the Antaeus wars, about Titans being nerfed and people complaining, this is the same exact thing that hunters have been going through for years with Stompies and Hunters and Omnioculus. Granted, these are really good things, and I can understand how people can get frustrated with the like rate at which they encounter it so often. And I understand that that's frustrating, but it's frustrating because it works. People like easy kills, and those things get easy kills. It's not that they are
broken. Look what happened with Kefri Sting, where nobody used Kefri Sting for years. Even Datto at one point, I think 2 years ago, put Kefri Sting as like one of the worst exotics to use in the game. But the minute that people figured out you could use Lord of Wolves and Omnioculus together, or even when your Falcon was able to one-shot, when they were able to combine those together so you could roll up on a squad, invis, but have true sight, they were like, oh my God, Kefri Sting is the best thing ever. Oh my God. No, it's not. It's the same thing that it was, but like 2 minutes ago before your new exotic came out, or when you figured out that Omnioculus could do a thing. You just don't like to invest in the certain exotics and figure out what works. That's the problem. That's why I've been saying that Stompies have been a problem, like in terms of the meta, because they're so good and so ease of use that no one looks at the rest of the Hunter kit. Because even before then you had things like Spine and Kefri Sting and things of that nature, but because the ease of use of Stompies made it so no one wanted to look anywhere else. So like that was my big issue with Stompies. I feel like there needed to be some way to curb the ease of use. That way people like that's why I at the very least, if you want your dodge back, put the in-air accuracy on it. That way people don't just be one shot with slug shotguns in the air. Otherwise, you do whatever the hell you want.
That nerf was that it takes away from hunters playing as hunters.
That's fair. That's why I was willing to roll it back.
This exotic, like you have to stop. You have to go from like having access to your entire kit to, in order to get any use out of this, you have to like legitimately weigh back and forth whether or not you want to be able to get out of a gunfight or have a useful exotic. And no exotic should ever have that kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Like
trade-off.
Exactly. Like you pick your exotic because it's supposed to complement your build.
Exactly.
Not so that your build can complement your exotic. People like Stompies because it does one thing. It enhances the way your movement options for Hunter. That's it. It makes the fluidity of Hunter movement a lot better. It's not that it gives you outrageous stat bumps or changes the way you play. It just makes moving around in Crucible a little bit easier and a little bit more fluid. Granted, it gives people advantages, but it's not an advantage of like you slap it on and now you're just the greatest motherfucker walking in Crucible. Nobody can touch it. It's now if you have the skill and reflex like capabilities, stompings are going to take you to another level. But that is a skill difference. A new light can't put on stompings and become the greatest fucking Crucible player ever.
That's fair.
Just like a new light can't put on Antaeus Wards and just go through an absolutely rampage.
Oh yeah,
There
you're totally right.
is
There's
a
been multiple times
conversation between skill.
Right, there's been multiple times where I've rolled up with Antaeus Wards, but like because of the angle that I slid in on, people were able just to shoot on like the side of me and kill me while I'm sliding in with Antaeus Wards. Or sometimes someone kills your momentum while you're trying to slide, and the Antaeus doesn't even activate. So like, there's a lot of things that frustrate me when it comes to how people view the community. And it's like the one thing that really got on my nerves, I forget who it was, but someone was very much like, "Oh, Barricade needs to be nerfed. Barricade needs to be nerfed into the ground." And it's like, bro, do you not understand that this is a multifaceted RPG and not just an average FPS? Like, you should not be able to roll through this energy barricade with no consequences. You should be hurt. You should be damaged. You should not be able to shoot through it. There should be consequences for it. Granted, do people's play styles make it feel like it's toxic? Most definitely. But the same thing with people's play styles with Hunter and Warlock make it feel shitty. This is not Call of Duty. People need to start understanding. We're at the tail end of Destiny's life cycle, and people still have not grasped that this is not Call of Duty. If you want to go play Call of Duty, go play Call of Duty. Oh, I don't want to play
by
Call of Duty.
Microsoft, or it's about to be owned by Microsoft. So
I'm about to say it's about to be owned by Microsoft, but yeah. But like they're like, oh, I don't want to play Call of Duty. I enjoy the gunplay of Destiny more. Then deal with the RPG elements. Hell, I remember when Ron came out and when Salta Greppa was arguing with people about the difficulty of Ron, he had the nerve to even say that Destiny is primarily an FPS. And I'm like, shut your mouth. No, it's not. This is an RPG. Bungie has always pushed this to be like the first ever console-based or like sort of console-style FPS/MMORPG. This is a multifaceted video game, the likes that, and no one has been ever able to duplicate. Like Anthem tried, failed. Like other people
Anthem just needed more time to cook. Let's be honest.
That's fair. But like, there have been so many games that have tried to be the Destiny killer, and no one has been able to replicate what Destiny is. And that's like, granted, could like Bungie has failed to even make Destiny better than what it is a few times. But in terms of the scale, people need to stop treating this game like it's Call of Duty. And we're almost at the 10-year mark, and people still think it's Call of Duty. Stop.
Look,
anyway,
Call of Duty could never come up with the wicked implement.
That's a great. That was a great freaking transition. That's what I'm about to go to.
I felt it coming.
The wicked implement. This scout rifle. What the like? I was so like, because we knew it was in the code. It had been leaked because of the leakers, which that's a whole other damn topic in its own right. The leakers that came out and told us it was going to be a scout rifle. What it did, what the catalyst did. We knew about this like weeks in advance. But the mission finally dropped, and it was inside of a deep dive rather than sort of being similar to like Presage or being similar to like Whisper or 0 Hour, or it had like a tie-in thing. All you had to do was fish and over 3 weeks and get the 3 different fish, and then you had to go get the blades. That was the whole gimmick with that. Granted, like some people struggled to even get the fish, but in terms of the thing, you went to the side room after doing 2 levels of a deep dive. Then you went deeper into the thing, and instead of going the way you went to the final seasonal mission, you go inside of a pyramid ship that apparently is just in the bottom of Titan for some reason. And you go inside and you fight this weird Taken Night guy, and the timer starts. And then you go into the deeper part of the pyramid, and there's a Tormentor. And you have to kill 3 Taken Minotaurs, rush to the middle, and fight the Tormentor. And for a lot of people, this activity was hard. And granted, we unintentionally made it harder for ourselves because most people were so like trained with deep dives to activate Toland to invoke the darkness that it made the activity harder unintentionally.
Yeah,
But
we did that. We did that.
Yeah, we did that because me, Tower, and one of our clanmates went in there on day one.
Look,
And
we got to be clear and open. We got to claim it.
yeah, we gotta claim it. It was hard at first, but once we but then later in the day, me, Dava, and Monk went in there, and like one of our clanmates, and we got it done. It took a little bit of effort. We used Divinity, we used machine guns, and we tore that thing to shreds. And like a lot of people were trying to say that this activity was too hard, and I will say,
so was Whisper when it first came out.
yes,
So
Whisper was hard
when it first came out.
Mm-hmm. They were difficult as hell. Like people forget that these, like even Presage was very hard when it first came out because people weren't up to light. Like these activities are meant to be very difficult.
People were asking for. Oh, sorry, David. What were you saying? I was gonna.
Oh no, you're all right. So the thing about it is, and I see it both ways, right? Because listening to a couple takes, I understand from a solo player's perspective. If you're solo, this thing was like outrageously hard because you got to deal with not just the difficulty of the content, but the RNG of your teammates and the RNG of some players going in match made, and they might have one other person that wants to do it, but then their third wants to just do the deep dive.
Hey, Tower found out today.
So it can be an issue, and that's
but they've got a solo version of the deep dives out. In the deep dive menu, you can.
It tells you, not have match made.
Or you can
but if you're solo, you probably need the matchmaking to get the help.
Oh, most definitely. Like not everyone's skilled enough just to tear through that. But I think the problem is with the system itself. A lot of people just want it to be match made. That way they can get through it. Heck, there's a topic that I've wanted to talk about on the show for a hot minute where people want to have match made raids and dungeons. But I think this activity shows why that's a bad idea because people don't know how to communicate in activities. And what if you load up into a match made raid and someone doesn't like you and they kick you? Like, that's a whole other debacle in its own right.
I don't think you should be able to kick
LFG is bad enough as it is.
Well, you all randomly got put together here. There should be no leader. It should be like a strike where you just stuck your bucko till you leave. That's my hot take. But if you got a match make for it, you don't get to be like, I'm the boss here because I match made for this. So I'm the leader. You can't stay. Goodbye. We all.
Now, I will say, in terms of the activity itself, I think the one issue with it was because of the fact that when you first go into it, the timer is 10 minutes, and with it, you had the chill touch modifier, which was part of the rotation for the deep dives. So you're going in there having multiple different factors that are contributing to your success. One person could roll in there and get one result one week and a different result the next week. So it's very much an interesting situation where Bungie kind of like made a mistake because truth be told, if Bungie would have approached this the same way they approached Whisper or approached 0 Hour or approached Presage, hell, especially just Presage, because not everyone likes the whole thing they did with 0 Hour and Whisper, where it was like hidden in the game and you couldn't find it, and it took some random dude on Reddit to find it. Like, not everyone likes that. But if it would have been like how Presage was, where they advertised it, they had like in the seasonal trailer, there's that line Osiris said where it's like, "There's no light here," like that kind of thing. Like they go in and market it that way, and then like halfway through the season, you just see a random mission at Zavala. You go pick it up, and there's a random mission over on the moon or something like that. And you go there, you do the thing, and you accomplish the goal. It was a brand new environment on the glycan and whatnot. That shit was hard as hell on day one because of the giant hangar with all the scorn. Like that was challenging. If they would have done this like that, rather than giving you a timer, I would have. I think a lot of people would have respected it more, especially because like with the modifier in play, it's either one or the other, not both with that kind of thing. Because there was times where you would get slowed by the Taken, and you couldn't even get to the boss, let alone survive the damage from the Scions when you're frozen. You would just get obliterated. So
Yeah.
there was multiple different factors at play with this activity. So I think if you're gonna do this, do it like Presage. I think Presage was the ultimate middle ground where they said, hey, once you drop the flag, that's when once you enter the activity, like the final boss fight, that's when the timer starts. You have the timer right then and there to go dive in, and you have, I think it was like 12 or 16 minutes to get through that fight. And then even for the master mode, the master mode had like a shorter time, like the timer from the beginning of the mission and then to get to the end to get the catalyst, that was a whole other ballgame. So I think Presage is the ultimate like way to do things where you have timers in different ways. The modifiers aren't like ability based, it's just challenge based, and it's not factoring into that high of an extreme, in my opinion. But in terms of the grand scale, I had a blast with it, and I think the gun is very slept on. I ran it, I used it in Lost Sectors yesterday and loved it. I'm excited because Bungie announced in the TWID this week they're gonna buff it. I'm like, hell yeah, bro! Like, give it more. I'm like Kylo Ren right now, more, because the scout rifle feels buttery smooth. I'm excited for it. Like the vibration it has on the controller. Chef's kiss.
Hold up now. Hold up now. You're a little too excited over there.
I also
That's
like
my
that
wife.
they tied the catalyst to just finishing a deep dive. And they scaled the drop of the catalyst as well. One of the things that I've talked about with other players, particularly my buddy Kaz and Six, is that, you know, we're not big fans of the whole triumph based earning of exotics, or, you know, triumph based earning of catalyst. What they did with getting the catalyst for implement is, I think, a really great middle ground. You go do a full deep dive, you tickle Toland, as I like to say. You tickle Toland, and depending upon the tier that you reach with the pressure trials, you have a scaling drop rate for the catalyst. So if you're only able to get a tier 3, you have a 20% chance of the catalyst dropping. If you are able to do the tier 5, you have a 40% chance of the catalyst dropping. So one in 8 runs, I think it is, of getting something like that. And then if you are able to finish up a tier 7, you know, and you get that third pressure trial done, it's a 100% guarantee that you will get it with your tier 7 chest. It's great. I think that gives everyone a chance, and it gives you something to push for. It gives you something to, you know, look for. Now, granted, that has not been publicly like announced, the scaling of that. I personally know that because I have a friend who's a QA tester for Bungie. And he told he told me, and a different Discord server that we're in, he's all like, yeah, it's okay. You don't have to do a tier 7. It's scaled. Just go have fun in the deep dives. And, if you get the cattle, if you get a tier 3, it's this. If you get a tier 5, it's this. If you get a tier 7, it's this. And I think that's great for those who, go into the deep dives and, do the matchmaking, and, somebody doesn't know where Toland is. Okay, well, on my next run, I can try it and maybe we'll get a tier 5, or maybe we'll be able to get the tier 7. Or if people struggle to finish that final pressure trial. I mean, I did 3 deep dives today while you guys were in your raid. And the first 2, we weren't able to get the tier 7. The first one I did, dude dropped out after we got the tier 5. Our third dropped out after we got the tier 5. So I finished that deep dive with just me and one other person. We were like, you know what? Fuck it, we ball. We're just going to finish this up.
Nice.
The second one, we weren't able to finish the freaking pressure trial because I ran out of freaking heavy ammo.
Damn.
So the third run I went in, I switched up my loadout a bit, and we finished that third pressure trial, and all 3 of us got the catalyst, and it was great. It was awesome.
That's what's up. And like, what
should be, with something like that.
And like what it reminded me of is kind of what they've done with Nightfalls recently, where like Legend and Master, you have a certain level of a chance to get it based on the platinum and the gold. But with GM specifically, if you finish and you get platinum, you are guaranteed your adept drop. Originally, it wasn't like that. It took a long time for Bungie to finally get to that point because people started to complain like, hey, if I'm in Glassway for like 35 minutes, 45 minutes, and like just a random champion bitch slaps me, I lose. Like we don't kill one champion and we get gold. There's a chance we don't get it, or if we get platinum, there was a random chance we didn't get the freaking adept. And finally,
Really?
Bungie sympathized with them. We're like, hey, fine, we're gonna make it so if you get platinum, you're guaranteed the adept. And once they started to do that, you saw more consistency of people enjoying GMs again. And I that's sort of what it feels like they've done here, where it's like, hey, if you really want to sweat and get the thing, you get it guaranteed. But if you get a little bit less, you have a chance. It's not like it's a pretty good chance too. So I think that's a great way to go about it, while rewarding the people for the time investment, while also not eliminating the chance for the not as skilled players. I love that so much.
Yeah, it makes me
And
happy.
like giving people stuff for time investments in
Insanity.
Destiny.
Insanity.
Clutch of the pearl. My God.
What?
All
It's not
right,
like I've been saying I need that for trials at all.
Oh no, you're good. So, and one last thing from this week's TWID was the fact that this, like as we are kind of already hinted at, this Tuesday, folks, Solstice of Heroes, or now it's just called Solstice, is returning. The armor looks freaking immaculate. I don't care what anybody says. The armor looks fabulous. I'm so excited. It looks regal.
It looks like a matador at a rodeo somewhere.
I'm so excited, bro. It looks so regal, looks so great. I know a lot of people were like sort of upset that like the elemental lights are kind of like dimmed down and like inside the coats and whatnot, but like I don't care, fam.
I like that. As someone who has visual issues, like I like that. As much as I enjoy the glows, and as much as I am all for other people enjoying their glows, I like something that has more of a backlit look. I think that's really fucking cool. But for me, looking at that Warlock set, man, you know what that takes me back to? That takes me back to like Season of the Worthy and that really sick like Rasputin armor that almost looked Okay, look, you could judge me all you want, but I love the look of Russian military armor. And having that look back with with the double-breasted coat and the chains and the pauldrons, I think that looks so freaking cool, man. I can't wait to wear that. I've got all my bright dust saved up,
Oh,
man.
I got 8,000. About to buy that shit on Tuesday. I'm excited.
11.5.
And also, I
angles on. Spend some of that paper, man. Come on, man.
looks so exciting. Looks so exciting. Now, the one thing that I want to stress, and I really recommend, and we always include it in the show notes, I really recommend people sit down and read the TWID because it fully explains how to go through the solstice and how to do it. Matter of fact, how long is this? It ain't even that long. Screw it. So, how it works is the Firebound. The Firebound buff is only available by doing the main activity, Bonfire Bash. When close to a fire team member, it gains increased recovery and super regeneration during the activity. Flare. The Flare buff is specifically in Bonfire Bash and in Vanguard Ops playlist, rapidly defeating combatants to unleash waves of paracausal fire, dealing damage to nearby enemies. During Solstice, you can chase down desired God Roll armor. What they mean by that is Solstice, especially because of last year and now this year, they've modified the system and made it so this is the best time to get high stat armor. Like, this is the best time. Like, I know dungeons and the vendors of the helm have been recorded to be the best, like the best during the year. Solstice right now is going to be the best time for casual players, for hardcore players to invest their time and get high stat armor. How it works is you go into Bonfire Bash, you earn silver leaves. Then you actually you go like to do random activities in the game to earn silver leaves. Then you go into Bonfire Bash and turn your leaves into silver ash. Then you spend the silver ash and to re-roll your armor stats that you on the different solstice armor pieces that you buy from Ava, and you'll be able to then turn have high stat recovery, high stat resilience, be able to use those and have the high armor you want. So definitely use that to your advantage. And you can get kindling to combine with those pieces to get the high stat armor by doing the different solstice event challenges. So use your stuff wisely, get high stat armor for your builds, and just go do it. Go do it. I know Bonfire Bash is not that exciting, but the time investment for the rest of the year is going to be so worth it. I highly recommend it. Go do it. You won't regret it. I promise you. Like, this is the best event the whole year for your builds. Take advantage of it. If Halloween is the best time for your weapons, this is the best time for your build. So definitely take advantage of it.
PSA, okay. PSA. Resilience is the most important stat on your stat list.
Yep.
You should always have 100 resilience. That's just a PSA from Diva. So I don't care what class you are. I'm a hunter. I run 100 resilience and like 80 mobility and 5 recovery.
But now, David, doesn't that hurt the build crafting capabilities of other classes besides Titan?
No. Resilience keeps you alive. That is a 35% damage reduction across the board.
But what if I'm a hunter who wants to run high mobility for my dog, David?
High mobility is great, but surviving is more important.
But what if I want to run high recovery from my rifts, Dave? I'm a warlock.
You can't rift if you're dead.
Yep. Goddamn right.
See, I've been saying this for so long. I've been saying this so much because I remember when 100 Resilience gave you a 40% damage resistance, and people were all up in arms about it, saying it was too busted and saying it was hurting build crafting potential. But here's the thing. My controversial take in regards to that is Bungie should just make an extra stat block for your class ability, like a specific class ability stat, like a mana bar or something like that, like where your class ability is judged separately from the rest of your kit. Because truth be told, in any other RPG, your resilience is your defense stat. Your recovery is how fast you recover health, and yada yada, etc. But for some reason, because of Titan's class ability being tied to resilience, people feel that, and because you have to invest the resilience into the other characters, people see this as a build crafting hindrance, and it's like, no, because in any other game, your defense matters in high level content. Like, what's the problem here? But because of the class abilities being tied, people see it as a problem.
It is, but it's not. And this is the reason why I think it is, right? Because it actively hinders warlocks and hunters, right? Because Titans are always going to build into resilience because it's their class ability thing, right? And who doesn't want to have their class ability more, right?
Right.
But when you look at it from a standpoint of a hunter specifically, I feel like hunters get hit with this even worse because hunters don't have a dump stat, right? If you're a warlock or you're a Titan, you can just dump mobility and have 5 mobility and be perfectly fine and not feel any different and have 100 recovery and 100 resilience. But when you're a hunter, you can't just dump mobility because that's our dodge. So our dodge keeps us alive. So then you get people out there who are crazy like poor old Diva here and just say, fuck it, I'll dump recovery and put everything into mobility, resilience, and discipline because those are the stats I use the most. And then I get wild looks when I go into GMs. I'm like, you got 5 recovery, not 50, but 5? What is this? Who are you?
This man rolled in here with 8 recovery the other day, and I was like, bro, what are you doing? Are you insane?
I made it work.
It's never him. I will agree. He made it work. It was funny.
But that's where build crafting comes in, kids. Where build crafting comes in. You know, you gotta make your subclass work for you. I am a Night Stalker hunter, so what I lack in recovery, I just make up for in Devour. I like Devour all the like.
You're welcome, by the way, as the resident warlock.
Well, everyone can get Devour now because of the fragments, honey. We don't need warlocks no more.
I know, but us warlocks had it first, just like Blink. So you're welcome.
Well, and truth be told, the one thing that I've kind of resented ever since Void 3.0 came out is the fact that like volatility used to be a Ursa Furiosa Titan specialty, and then like they're like, hey, let's give it to everybody.
Look, I feel the same way about my hunter dodge. Everybody's got some form of a dodge. My class ability don't feel very class ability right now. But I look, I have eaten my t-shirt and I have swallowed my feelings. We all just got to deal with it.
All right. And one last thing before we close out. There like the first ever Strand rocket launcher is going to be in the rotation for Solstice. It will be kind of a good rocket launcher for PvP, but like otherwise this thing ain't looking that hot from what Light GG's talking about. So like farm at your own at your own expense because not a lot of people are going to be farming that. But
we'll see. Gonna give you a god roll right once you start. So
like if you actually look at the perk pool, it ain't looking that hot. Like so, like there's no vorpal, there's no explosive light, there's no bait and switch, there's no nothing. Like the best you're gonna get is like freaking what like someone was trying to say that you could run like Envious and Hatchling to make a bunch of freaking worms or some shit. But like otherwise, I don't know. We gonna see. But that is this week's episode, folks. Don't forget that you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, all those great places. You can follow us on Twitter at Cosmodrome Radio. You can check out the merch shop at shop.cosmodromeradio.com. We've left up the Pride merch for a little bit longer, so make sure you check that out. And we are going to be back next week on our normal schedule, so make sure you check that out because we will be talking about Solstice and much more. David, what is your closing statement for this episode?
Our closing statement is Destiny community, veterans, casuals, new lights. Do not be assholes to the devs. I know you have some constructive criticism, quote unquote, constructive criticism out there that you feel like they just gotta know. And that's okay. But let's not harass them. Because the more time they spend suing the shit out of people who are being bad actors, the less time they spend like actually developing for the game.
Amen.
So let's be civil here.
Amen. Tower, how you feeling?
To add on to Davis' statement, don't fucking cheat. Just don't do it. Okay? Okay? Don't fucking do it. Please.
It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it.
There's no reason for you to be able to throw every single super that exists in this game.
Yes.
And
I saw that happen once. That was fucking hilarious.
There's no reason you should have infinite, fully auto xenophage and you can fly around the map.
Right. And don't fucking harass people that you play against. Good fucking God. Don't be racist. Don't be homophobic. And don't fucking cheat.
And don't be like that dude from WoW that spent an entire year on the hardcore server raiding with people for an entire year just to go to one specific raid just to get them all killed in one fucked up moment. And
that's very maniacal.
Don't be that easy. Don't be that guy.
My closing statement, folks, is going to be, look, we really got to stop being mean to each other in this game. Like, there was somebody in our clan today that literally got hate mail and got called a bot for how they were playing in mayhem today. Like, there is so much childishness going on in this community on a base level. Like, now granted, there is some great criticism and some great critiques that have been going on from Aztecross to different members of the community. Like, I will stand by what Jake said about the PvP community, and I'll stand by what Glad said about the true haters of the PvP community that are hating on PvE. There's a lot of different opinions that are going around that need to be heard. Are there some opinions that are kind of outlandish and that don't need to be listened to? Most definitely. But is there some criticism that needs to be lobbied at Bungie? Definitely. But there's a right way and a wrong way to go about it. And I really, truly feel like we need to look inward, because here in a minute, there's a lot of concerns that Bungie's going to abandon us once Final Shape is over and once Marathon comes out. Granted, Bungie has said to the press they're not going to. But truth be told, the way the community's been acting, I wouldn't blame them. And we need to start being better as a community. That way Bungie feels their investment is worth it. So I feel like we need to do better by our people, be better by our community, be the community we want to see in the world, and be the shining beacon that Bungie has tried to be. And we need to do what Saint 14 always talks about when we enter trials and outshine the opposition. So we will catch you folks next week right here, and we will catch you Starside. Out.